before I started my company, like my first introduction to intimates and this whole industry was like shopping at Victoria's Secret at the mall. And so until somebody gets to a point where they're questioning kind of these things that they've been doing their whole life, I think there is a certain point where you have to kind of think about your contribution to these issues as an individual.
Hi Shobha, it's so great to meet you in person and get to sit down and talk about why Viva Voce is partnering with your brand Proclaim. Would you tell us a little bit more about you and your brand?
Yes, my name is Shobha. I'm the founder of Proclaim, and we make inclusive nude intimates that are sustainably and ethically made.
Tell us more about what inclusive means to you and how you got started with Proclaim.
Back in 2016, I could not find a nude bra that matched my skin tone. When I'd go to the store to look for a nude bra, it'd be like a beige color. And when I was kind of researching the whole industry, not only were they not designing bras for people like me, but the whole industry in general was often exploiting women of color in their supply chain as well. So I knew I wanted to address this bigger issue in the fashion supply chain with how women are treated and who we design for.
Tell me more about why sustainability is important to you personally.
I feel like there were just kind of bigger issues in the fashion industry that I didn't want to be a part of. And if I was going to be in this industry, I wanted to address those. So to me, sustainability and ethical manufacturing kind of go hand in hand. Being cognizant of that has been really important to me. And women of color are often disproportionately affected by the inequities in the fashion supply chain. So I wanted to make sure that I was building a supply chain that was moving away from that often accepted reality of the fashion supply chain.
You know, making things for women of color, wanting to make sure it's not exploiting women of color on the other end.
Exactly.
Tell me more about how you make sure that your supply chain is ethical.
Being, a small business, when I first launched, we started making our stuff in San Francisco. That's where I was living at the time. So for me, for what I can control, I've been always working very closely with my factories. We work with small family-owned factories. We audit them and have a very close relationship with them ourselves. We always pay above minimum wage and always make sure to not pay per piece, which is always an issue in the supply chain. So at the time, it was very popular to use recycled PET. So like fabric from recycled water bottles was like the big thing in sustainability. So our first collection used that material. We had 3 nude colors. It was literally just one style.
It's so interesting. We all think of inclusivity in a different way.
Yep.
For my body, I'm often thinking about sizing, but inclusivity goes so far beyond sizing. It goes to color and ability and gender and all of these things that are so important to think about when we're designing clothes because it all affects that process.
Especially in intimates.
Yes, for sure. So tell me more. You said you switched your fabrics.
Yes. So we've been on a journey with fabrics. So I think the thing that has really come to the forefront, especially in the last few years, is the importance of what we put on our bodies and how important that is for our health, especially as women, especially this base layer. So we've always focused on sustainable fabrics, but we've been more focused on plant-based sustainable fibers. So we did a lot with Tencel, which I love, which is a material from wood pulp. It has a very eco-friendly supply chain where they reuse a lot of water and the chemicals in the process. And then more recently, we've been moving to a lot of organic cotton. So everyone knows organic cotton. It's a great natural fiber. Then we've also launched the world's first plant-based shapewear. For that, we're using a bio-based polyamide. So instead of being based out of a fossil fuel material, our polyamide is a bio-based material made from the castor plant. So it's 87% bio-based.
What an accomplishment.
Thanks.
So many businesses are so focused on growth. We talked a little bit about sustainable businesses that get trapped in the venture capital cycle of growth at any cost. How did you avoid that path?
I think I always knew I was never going to go that route. I always had a very strong vision of what I wanted Proclaim to be, and it just did not align with this purely capitalistic kind of way that fashion brands are running right now. So it's almost been like an experiment to show that this can be done outside of this traditional paradigm. And I think that means that we do grow slowly. Like we're not acquiring customers with like an unlimited budget on social media. It's a lot of it is storytelling and building community. So it's a slower path, but I think we've been around for almost 9 years now. So it's clearly working. It's just a different way of growing.
What do you think it'll take to shift this industry? We're talking about all the challenges that come with it.
A lot of it is changing kind of the underlying structure almost. So The whole fewer, better, I think, is kind of the model we have to move towards. Making things ethically and sustainably is not going to be very cheap, I would say. So, like, you have to know the value of these things and want to invest in pieces and brands that are doing the work to bring those pieces to life. And then when you have invested in them, you want to make sure you take care of them, because these are things that are made to last and should last. So hand washing when you can, hang dry, things like just the care of the garment, and then repairing when you can, when things do break down, I think is so, so, so important. And that's not in kind of the world that we live now, where you're kind of pushed to like frenzy buy when there's a sale and like stock up and like wear it once and toss. Like that whole mindset, I think, is what we'll need to change to get to where we need to go with fashion.
That makes sense. Can you tell me a little bit more about what it costs to make things sustainably and ethically versus what a cheap garment might cost to make, and how that affects your pricing?
The most money goes towards labor. So like the actual paying people in our supply chain is definitely the most expensive part. And then materials as well. To have things that are GOT certified, that adds a premium to the product, because people are auditing the supply chain and they're doing things in a way that's more expensive. Paying people for their hard work and their skilled labor, I think, is where most of the money goes. It would be 4 to 5x, I think, if you were ignoring everything in that side to make it that way.
So just trying to pay people a sustainable, livable wage amplifies your costs by 4 to 5 times.
Yes.
That would mean basically mass market retailers, right, are paying people normally pennies for their work.
I will say, like, one way to get better pricing is to like place larger orders. So there is something to scaling, and that's one way that we've been able to grow. And when you place larger orders, you can get better pricing. We never make more than we can sell. So we never do sales. We never mark down. We're always basing off of demand, and we make things in small batches. And once that starts to like dwindle down, we'll replenish it. I think what I appreciate about Viva Voce is it's customers that appreciate the same things that we do. So sustainability and inclusive design. So it's like literally the core of what I do. And every single garment since the beginning has had those core values. And I feel like finding our people and finding people that appreciate that has been what makes this a joy to do as a designer. So I think that's kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I appreciate partnering with you all.
Well, we're so grateful to partner with you and offer people diversity in intimates that's really made well. So thank you.
Thank you.